right. We are live. Hello, hello. You have two Kelseys in the house for all of you who are watching us. This is Fit Mom Kelsey Wilson. Let's see, I think just check technology real quick on here. Awesome. Okay. Hey, Kelsey.
Hey.
Thanks for hanging out today.
Of course.
For those of you who are tuning in live, say hello. We want to know you're hanging out with us and tell us where you're watching from. And if you're watching on replay, do the same. But Kelsey, you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about life before we hop into your story.
Yeah. I just celebrated my 10th wedding anniversary with my husband. We have two kids, 5 and 2, and I am a work from home mom. And I just completed my first marathon. So that's the big accomplishment for the year.
Yeah. So now we've officially interviewed a triathlete, a marathon runner. So you guys are definitely going to hear her story because it's pretty incredible. So we'll get to that in a minute. So Kelsey, why don't you start by telling us before we started working together, tell us a little bit about your frustrations with health and weight and kind of where you were at.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like weight has been a struggle my whole life. It's a generational thing in our family. And so I had tried everything out there. You name it, I've probably tried it or researched it thoroughly. And so in my 20s, I kind of discovered that running and training for half marathons was something that I could pair with Weight Watchers and lose weight. Lost weight before getting pregnant with our first and in between babies that way. But it was very restrictive. And after baby number 2, I tried that same formula and it just didn't work. And so once again, went back to the drawing board, tried all the different things, looking at new science and methods and all of that, and nothing would work. And so it wasn't until I heard Kelsey start talking about this deeper work, this root work in her hearts and her spirits. And as soon as I heard her mention that, I knew that I needed to try it because nothing else was making any difference. And so I knew that the deeper work had to happen.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll dive into that a little bit more, but and we connected through Facebook, I think initially. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was kind of the tipping point that made you decide to say yes and join us in Fit Moms Academy?
Mm-hmm. I think so when training for a half marathon and like my go-to formula wasn't working, I decided to up the ante and train for a full marathon because my goodness, if a half wasn't enough, I must just not be trying hard enough. So I must need to do more was kind of my thought. And so, I really got into training, really was taking it seriously, but still weight was not budging. I was running and running and running and running, but the weight just hung on. And so realizing that was not the answer, that doing more was not it. It was really that focus on like what's going on inside, what's happening in my heart, in my mind, in my spirit. Because there's a roadblock there, but I just couldn't identify it. And so that's what made me decide like, okay, I need to find a program that is seriously going to get below the surface.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those of you, I think a lot of you have seen like our basic training, but what Kelsey is talking about is if you think of a target, there's 3 circles of weight loss, and most things focus on the outer circle. So Weight Watchers and Noom is a little bit, I don't know if you've done Noom, but it's more of like the psychology, but paleo, keto, all those things are that outer circle. The middle circle, we also focus on in Fit Moms, which is like the implementation, because we're busy and we have to figure out how to do this. But for Kelsey, a lot of her breakthrough has happened in that inner circle where we talk about through identity and the roots of why there's a struggle in the first place and getting excited about our kingdom purpose and declaring a new story. So That's that inner circle that she's talking about. So walk us through then. So you've been how long? I'm trying to think of when you started exactly.
I
Is
think
it
I'm at like 9 weeks.
okay? Yeah, I thought it's October, right? Is it October that you
Yeah.
started? Okay. So in the past 9 weeks, tell us a little bit about what has changed for you
hmm
in life, in your mindset. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah. So many things have changed. Physically, I'm down 7 pounds, which may not seem like a lot, but I had been seriously trying to lose weight for 2 years and couldn't lose more than 2 pounds at a time. So that seven feels
Hey,
like 70. So truly
awesome.
celebrating that. Um, but really, the most powerful thing for me has been the way that I view fitness. And so I had decided to run this marathon in an effort to get my body back and lose weight. But I had a lot of reasons for doing it. And some of those reasons included like proving a point. Um, as a kid, I had been told on a number of occasions that I couldn't run or I'd never be a runner or that running just wasn't my thing. I wasn't built for it. And so, in some ways, choosing to train for this marathon a year ago was about proving a point and proving people wrong. Um, and they were expectations that I put onto myself that I felt like all these other people in my life had for me.
Mm,
And so, through my training, I think it was motivating, feeling like I'm going to do this and I'm going to show them. Um, but at the race itself, the Lord really met me. And so my training went well. It really paid off. I even ran a full marathon 3 weeks prior to my actual race here at home solo. And like that felt amazing. I traveled to Hawaii to run the Honolulu Marathon. And so I went all that distance, got there, felt really great. I train at altitude. And so being at sea level was
mhm.
amazing. My lungs felt awesome. My legs felt awesome. But at mile 2, I started developing blisters. And I knew that that was just something that like you can't train for that. Um,
Mm,
but I knew I had come this far. I wasn't going to give up. And so kept running, really felt okay, except for the blisters until I hit mile 18. And at that point, the sun had come out. It was getting really warm. I was starting to fear that I might be experiencing some symptoms of heat stroke. So after a visit to the med tent to get checked out, they did clear me to keep going. But I was at like an all-time low. Um, I was crying as I was running. I even had called my husband. I had him like in my ear on my AirPods, like giving me encouragement. And I was asking him, like, should I just stop? Like, is this crazy? Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Am I just being stubborn or should I keep going? Um, and in that is when the Lord really met me. And I just had this moment of clarity where it's like the physical pain, the emotional struggle that I was having, and then like this spiritual clarity all like came crashing together. And I just really sensed the Lord reminding me that I was out there trying to meet all these expectations that others had put on to me and that I had put on myself. Um, but he never called me out there. He never asked me to train for this marathon or to do this race. And at first I was mad. I was like, Lord, what? Like, no, I've been praying about this. And like, I mean, training is hard. It's been a spiritual journey. And so I felt like I had kept the Lord in it. But he really brought to light that like I had made it something that it never was supposed to be.
mm,
And so I was ready to kind of throw up my hands at that point and be like, okay, well, if the Lord hasn't even called me out here, then why am I doing this? But I kept praying and just kind of pressing in. And I really felt him say that I will never leave you, I'll never forsake you. We are going to finish this thing together. Um,
mm,
but this is not the movement or the fitness that I designed you for. Um,
mm,
and so it's just super powerful to realize that I had made running something it never was supposed to be. Not that running is bad, Running is great. And there are moments that running has brought me a lot of joy. But what the Lord spoke to me was that I was designed for movement that brings me true joy and brings him glory. And so,
Mm.
during that training process, I had lost the joy of it. And I was out there struggling, striving. And it brought up a lot of this deeper heart work. Um, and it's translated to different areas of my life for sure. Like I can see it in the way that I view food or the expectations I put on myself for like how we keep our home or raise our family or my marriage or my work. Like I put a lot of expectations on me that the Lord has not. And so identifying those and really taking a step back and figuring out like, okay, what does he say about this? Has really been like a 180 for me. And now when it comes to fitness, like I get excited because God is so in it now that um it's like, okay, like how am I going to move my body today? Like what sounds good for movement instead
Mm.
of like, okay, you've got 8 miles on the training plan, got to go do this. And so
Yeah.
it's just brought a lot of freedom and I'm really enjoying it. So,
Yeah, I love that. And I love the part of your story where the Lord just spoke to you that he was going to complete the race with you. Like even
mhm,
though you've been in this mentality of like feeling the need to do things and striving. We talk a lot in Fit Moms Academy. A lot of us are strivers. We want to white knuckle
mhm.
our way through life or through, our goals. And when we can let go of that and just be who we're created to be and to eat the food we're created to eat and move the way we're created to move, it's so liberating, right? And
Yeah.
it's so cool that, I mean, you've trained for one of the hardest things a human can do, right? A marathon, and it wasn't working for weight loss. And when you're able to release that, um, weight has come off easier than it
Mhm.
has in, I don't know how many years, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, I feel the same way about food, like, I'm not white knuckling, sticking to a bunch of rules anymore. It's like, I'm just naturally making better choices, like, my tastes have changed and, like, it's just flowing, and results are happening, and it's not because I am trying harder or doing more. It's because I'm leaning in and pressing in and doing the deeper work of why I run to the pantry when I'm stressed out, and
yeah.
figuring those things out. So,
Yeah. What have, compared to, you said you've tried it all as far as diets
mhm.
go. Been the biggest shift for you with food? Or is it just that you understand where your thoughts go around food?
I think the biggest shift around food is that now I'm becoming kind of a nerd about food and like getting really excited about the way that food works in our bodies and like
Mm.
it's no longer, oh, I should eat a salad because it's fewer calories. It's, oh, I should have greens because they do all these amazing things in my body and like have cancer fighting elements and antioxidants and that kind of thing. And so it's like food no longer is just about like a quick moment of satisfaction. It's about like this amazing thing that God designed and how it works in our bodies.
Yeah. We love nerding out about that, right?
Yeah.
So amazing when you catch wind of just the design, um, for food and how it's such good medicine. It's really inspiring to eat it, I think.
hmm
But,
Yeah. And you
well,
become more connected to it. Like I made spaghetti squash for the family and like we have spaghetti squash on occasion, but this time it was from grandma's garden and I
mm,
decided to like save the seeds and we're going to maybe try to plant them next summer. And it was like I felt so good about eating that meal and then it like had this story that goes with it and now we're going to grow our own food based off that. It's like I've never connected with food that way before.
yeah. Yeah. And by doing that, you're creating that identity of health in your home and you're showing your kids that it's important without saying you need to lose weight or criticizing their
hmm
bodies or anything, right? It's just,
Yeah.
again, the joy of it. So
hmm
that's awesome that you're inviting your kids into. Um, okay. So for people who are considering joining us in Fit Moms Academy, would you recommend it? What would you say to somebody who's considering going on this journey of deeper inner work?
I'd say yes, 1,000 times yes. Um, there are so many programs out there, it is overwhelming. But I haven't found anything that really gets to the root of the issue, that like inner circle that you described, um, which I think that's where all change stems from. So until you're ready to jump in and do that root work, like you can white knuckle through a few things and lose a few pounds, but it's not going to change things forever. Um, and this program does that. It's that lasting change, and that generational change. Like I'm excited about what my decision to follow this program is going to have as far as impact on my daughter as she grows and the way that she sees her
Mm.
body and that kind of thing too. So
Yeah. And how old's your daughter again?
she's 5.
Yeah. So you have plenty of time to make that amazing impact on her, which is so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love that. Thanks, Kelsey. What about if somebody was feeling hopeless or feeling
Mhm.
maybe where you were even before you started this, and you could give them a piece of advice, they're feeling stuck, like what would you say to them?
I think the biggest thing is to realize that all of this struggle is so much deeper than we give it credit for. Like I would get down on myself because I just didn't have enough willpower or motivation, or I got distracted. But really, it's so much deeper than that. And like, you really have to take a look at what's going on, things from your past, things from your childhood, the way that your parents were raised and your parents' parents, and realize that there are things that are buried deep in there that you may not even realize are causing these symptoms, if you will, or these more surface struggles that we have. And so, yes, it's hard. It is a lot of hard work, but it's so worth it. And experiencing that freedom, like the first lie that I uncovered, and really could kind of turn around and really believe the truth, like that is huge. Because that's something I've wanted to believe for a long time, but I never really got deep enough to really make it happen. And so if you're ready to dig in, this program will help you do it.
Yeah. And Kelsey, you've been such a good example of like, okay, I'm here, I'm going to show up, I'm going to go through the process. And that's why you've had all the success you've had. So I think honestly, the best is yet to come. Like you're just uncovering at the very beginning, right? And
Mhm.
now that you've gone through your marathon and you've had these revelations about fitness, this has been a piece of it and you're loving real food. But I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more to your story of encouragement. And it's cool to see people even at the beginning of the process, in the middle. We're always in process, but
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you and so appreciate you coming on and encouraging women. Cause I know, again, a lot of us, we struggle with that feeling like we have to have these expectations for ourselves regarding fitness or our bodies or whatever that is. And so
Mhm.
when we stop having them, then things, when we do things God's way, it's so freeing. So
Yes, absolutely.
awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for hanging out today. Thank you guys who have tuned in with us. And we'd love to know any takeaways you've had from Kelsey's story. Um, and she's in the Facebook group, so I'm sure she'd be happy to connect with you if you have any questions. All right. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Kelsey.
Bye. Thank you.